All right, guys, welcome back to Keeping Up with the X-Men. We are on X-Men Gold 16. This is the Negative Zone War, Part 1. Now, this book, the cover is interesting. One, because I don't know exactly what's going on with the costumes, but it makes me wonder, are we about to get new costumes? And if so, if we're about to outfit the X-Men Gold team in costumes that are all matching, I like these. I don't know if that's what's going on, but if that's what we're about to do, I really like these. I like the red X. Of course, red and black is a proven color scheme in my opinion. I like that they have the X symbol right there on the belt. Like, everybody's kind of uniform about it. I like these. If this turns out to be the new costumes of the X-Men Gold team for a little while, I would be okay with that. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this. Do you remember Lydia Nance? Now, Lydia Nance was the propaganda girl who was spreading dog crap, basically, and talking about how she supports the Deportation Act and yada yada and all this other stuff. And right now, she's in a talk show. She's on a talk show called Cross Time. And she is currently having an argument with Kitty Pryde. Because Kitty Pryde has become kind of a national spokesman for mutants. You've seen her go to Washington and different things like that. But they're sitting there discussing the whole mutant thing and how Kitty believes it's wrong. The Deportation Act doesn't make sense. It's against American values. And she's urging people not to take this drastic step, while at the same time, Lydia Nance, because she's a piece of garbage, Lydia believes that we would be better off going back to segregation. So she wants to create something where she's all for it. She's all for the idea of separating people. And she wants the mutants to live on their side and America to live on their side, and we can just be done with all of this. And this is a very interesting debate in multiple ways that I've had with different people, is that mutants, while I don't believe in going this route, because I don't believe in things like this mass racism and stupidity and whatnot, I also have to understand certain ideas that mutants need a special kind of attention, because if you sent your child to a school and then later on, around the age of 13, one of the children all of a sudden discovers that they're a mutant and that their power is to explode like a grenade, they could take out the entire class. And you need to know these things before they happen. But it's definitely being addressed to the extreme here, where we're just trying to remove mutants completely from society and be done with it altogether. And we've seen this play out before with things like Utopia, where mutants had their own nation and whatnot. And sometimes it almost feels like that's the route that it has to go, but it shouldn't be. And that's what creates the gray area in X-Men and makes us ask questions that these are superpowered individuals and whatnot, but then that can't necessarily control what they are all the time. And then there's also the question of why Captain America and other people like that with superpowers that develop, like Spider-Man's bitten by a radioactive spider. He has to discover his powers overnight, and he could hurt somebody bad. If he would have lost his crap the next day at school after he got the spider powers the first day and punched Flash in the face, he could have killed him. So, like, there's always the question of how these superpowered beings should be handled in our society. And it's a tough question to answer, but X-Men actually approaches it. Okay, after that show, Kitty and Colossus they're walking around, they're downtown, they're checking things out, they're talking, and during the conversation, it was brought up at the show that Kitty's been trying to figure out how she feels about this guy that she's kind of with and kind of not with, and she doesn't know what to do. And he's kind of like, look, I'm not pressuring you. He's like, but I do find it very awesome that you're actually thinking about us. He's like, you figure anything out? And she's like, let's just say that I might have figured something out. And she hands him this piece of paper, and he's like, what is that? And she says, it's a room key. And he's like, oh. He kind of gets a smile on his face. He's like, I see. Well, There is, well, we're going to go back to the Manhattan Park, the Central Park. We're going to go back there now because at the X Mansion right now, there are people that are rallying together, and these are, I'm assuming they're humans, that say, they're holding up signs that say mutants and Americans. First they came for the mutants, no mutant deportation, resist, X-Men are humans too, and things like that. There are people on the mutant side. There are Americans that think that this should not be the way that we handle this, and that is something else that's more true. I like this idea that it's not just like the whole country, all humans hate mutants because we need a storyline for prejudice. This is interesting because it shows us that there are people on both sides. There are mutants who would rather just be done with it and be on their own. And there are humans who would rather just be done with it and they be on their own. But there's people on the other sides as well. There's mutants that are like, America's my home, I'm not going anywhere. This is where I have just as much right to be here. I was born here, I've done for the country. Like, I love where I am and I don't want to go anywhere and I shouldn't be forced to do so. And there are humans that are right on that same sign saying, yes, this is ignorant, they should not be forced to go anywhere. We're on their side, mutants and humans. We're all mutants in one way or another. We're all humans in one way or another. It's interesting. I like that it wasn't just one sweeping direction. Now, all of a sudden, this big vortex in the sky opens up and aliens come from the sky to attack Manhattan because X-Men. But this actually does lead back to something that has been building up. We're once again, we're playing the, quote, long game here. When this starts to happen, we decide that we need to call the leader of the X-Men. So we decide to get a hold of Kitty Pryde, and where we locate her is very interesting, because I'm guessing that her and Colossus, they made some discoveries, because there is quite the provocative, embarrassing, and legitimate dramatic scene that is definitely going to play into our future now, as Kitty Pryde is seen sleeping in a bed completely naked, 100% without a doubt naked, and she's with Colossus, who his big giant mug is also quite naked. So evidently room key led to activity. So yes, that's where they found her. And I like how Rachel is told, like, Rachel's like, okay, we also need to find Colossus because she just found Kitty, and Kitty's like, no, you don't. I already know where he is. And she's like, oh. And then she's like, look, as the team leader, I am ordering you not to enjoy this. I love how Rachel gives her crap like, oh no, this right here, this is something we're going to be talking about. So all of a sudden, we got to get the humans off the lawn and everything because stupid people do stupid things. I realize a vortex opened in the sky. I realize that a giant alien spacecraft came from the sky. But we immediately sent Alpha Flight flyers in to shoot at the alien, and I don't necessarily know that we sent them in either, because it's just some Alpha Flight people. They come in, boo, and they start do, and they shoot the ship up, and then the ship responds by, of course, blowing them out of the sky. Now, this is where I find some interesting stuff going on. This is like Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles did not go looking for problems, and that's what we're about to do here, is problems found us. Like Ninja Turtles in the original books, in the very early books, they didn't like go on patrol looking for bad guys or something like that. That was not what they were doing. They found themselves in situations most of the time. And that's kind of what's going on here is, believe it or not, had we just left this whole thing alone, it probably would not have been an actual issue. But we got ourselves involved. When Alpha Flight flew in, shot, and then got blown up, the X-Men immediately scrammed to action, and they attacked the thing themselves. Alpha Flight, what was left of Alpha Flight here anyway, is gone. They're dead. We take to the skies. We got Kitty Pryde going into the ship, Colossus tearing parts of it off, Wolverine cutting, Nightcrawler porting around from place to place. And what is going on is that these aliens are specifically here to retrieve that green-horned alien dude that we saw issues ago. The guy that we trapped in the X-Mansion that we held prisoner for a while. That dude, that's what they're here to do. They're here to get the alien. And so we go in and we cause this big fight, and Wolverine falls off the ship, and Rachel goes down to get him. Well, because we are attacking the ship is attacking us. Rachel gets blasted. She gets blasted hard. Like, it looks damaging. And she hits the ground pretty rough, and she looks to be in really nasty shape. Now, I believe instinctually, if that laser came that close to her, she probably put up a psionic shield of sorts, but she is still very, very messed up. Well, the ship lands, they retrieve the alien, and they leave. That's all they were here to do. And the alien that gets on the ship, he doesn't seem interested in, like, causing trouble. It is simply revealed to us here that basically his lover came for him. That's what this looks like. His lover came for him or her, or it's an alien. I don't know what it is, to be fair. And they hug, and then they're gone. They open up a portal, and they go back through it. They're done here. They were never on Earth to hurt anybody. This was a Ninja Turtle situation. We just kind of got involved by accident. And then what we did kind of led to our own problems from there. Well, it is a big problem because Nightcrawler and Kitty Pryde were on the ship that just went back home. And when Wolverine is woke up by, I believe this is, was it Himiko or something like that? It's been a while. I think it's Hisako. Yeah, actually it says right here in the book. It is. It's Hisako. She's the girl that can create. She projects the armors around her. In terms of the shows, the best thing I could reference you to, if that's where you're coming from in terms of X-Men, I would tell you the X-Men anime. She's in that. She's a pretty prominent figure in the X-Men anime that came out a couple years back. But anyways, that's basically what she does. She's one of the kids in the mansion. She can project a type of armor system around her, and it protects her. And it can even protect her against Wolverine's claws, as he almost kills her when he wakes up. But she protects herself, and then she asks him, because he starts asking questions, where is everybody? And she's like, well, we're actually under the impression that 2 of our people may have been taken into space. And he's like, then we're going to go get them back. And that's pretty much what's going to lead us into another X-Men space adventure in the next book. This book was solid. I enjoyed it. I liked that we, once again, I'm all about the character development. I'm all about the drama of X-Men more than I am the punchy. It's important to have punchy because these are superheroes, and if they don't super anything, then we may as well just read a soap opera, which technically that's close to what the X-Men are, but there was a lot of character in this. A lot of quip character where they just small dialogue that kind of feeds us into where we're going, and big storyline events like the fact that Kitty and Colossus are definitely back together, or so it seems. And these 2 characters have been playing this game for a long time. The off and on again, and looks like we're on again. So anyways, I enjoyed this book. I think it was very solid. We are done here. You are now all caught up with the X-Men Gold. Later on.